Vijnantimidandasya Jnananjanachalakaya Chakshurum Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavanscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahakana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahakana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Bhavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Jaya Jagannatha Sachidanandana Tribhuvane Korecha Charanavandana Jaya Jaya Jagannatha Sachidanandana Tribhuvane Korecha Sharanavandana Nila Chale Shanka Chakra Gada Padmadara Nila Chale Shankha Chakra Gada Padmata Nadia Nagare Danda Kamandaluka Jaya Jaya Jagannatha Sachidanandana Tribhuvane Kore Jaya Shadana Vandana Kino bole purabe Ravana badila Golokir by Pavlila Rakasha Korila Jaya Jaya Jagannatha Sachidanandana Tribhuvane Korecha Shavana Vandana Sri Radhara Bhave Ebe Gaura Avatara Hare Krishna Nam Gaura Korila Prasad Jaya Jaya Jagannatha Sachidanandana Tribhuvane Korecha Shadana Bandhana Vasudeva Gosha Bole Kodi Jodahar Jai Gaura Se Krishna Se Jaganath Jaya Jaya Jagannatha Sachidanandana Tribhuvane Korecha Shadana Vandana Jai Gaura Say Krishna Say Jagannath Jai Gaura Say Krishna Say Jagannath Say Jaganath Jai Gaura Say Krishna Say Jaganath Jaya Jaya Jagannatha Sachidanandana Vibhuvane Korecha Charanna Krishna Say Jagannath Jaya Jaya Jagannatha Sachidanandana Tribhuvane Korecha Sharana Vandana Haribo. I'd like to welcome His Holiness Chandramauli Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Purushottam Swami Maharaj, descending from Bindavan Dham, Sarvabhauma Prabhu. Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj, His Holiness, was born and raised here in this area of Sri Jagannath Puri Dham. He's been coming to Rathayatras and having the darshans of Jagannath since his infancy. And now, being connected by the divine grace of our beloved Srila Prabhupada, he is sharing the glories of Jagannath's mercy and Gauranga Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan mission throughout all the world. And tomorrow morning, Sripad Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj will be giving us the class. Hare Krishna. Most all of our great Acharyas came to Puri to worship Lord Jagannath. Sripad Ramanujacharya, he established a mutt here. Sripad Madhvacharya came here to worship Jagannath. Sripad Vishnu Swami Nimbarkacharya, Sripad Vallabhacharya, Sripad Shankaracharya, even Jains and Buddhists, even worshippers of demigods, somehow they all see Jagannath as their Lord. Jagannath can be interpreted in so many ways. He's appeared in that way. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Jagannath himself, revealed the deepest, highest, and most intimate revelation of Jagannath. And he especially manifested that during his Rathayatra. The associates of Lord Chaitanya, many of them were avatars or intimate associates of the Lord from the spiritual world who had descended into this world in this age of Kali. And almost all of them assembled here in Jagannath Puri. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Radha Krishna in one form. Gadadhar Pandit is Srimati Radharani. Swarup Damodar Lalita Saki. Sri Ramananda Rai is Vishaka. Srila Haridas Thakur, Brahma. Paramananda Puri, Uddhava. All these great personalities, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is Brihaspati. Sri Radha's intimate associates came and resided here for some times. Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Raghunath Bhatt Goswami, Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Baladev, Hare Krishna. They all came and assembled here in Jagannath Puri. It's all right. Baladev Vidyabhushan. He was transformed to recognize and understand this. He was one of the greatest of the scholars of the world. But it was here in Puri that his heart was transformed to surrender to the path of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he had his Bhakti Kuti, his ashram here in Jagannath Puri. He was stationed here as a government servant and was overseeing the affairs of Jagannath's temple. What a great devotee of Jagannath Bhakti Vinod Thakur was. He prayed to Lord Jagannath, to Krishna, that a ray of Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, would descend into this world as his son to assist in carrying out the Sankirtan movement of Lord Gauranga. And through his deep devotion, his prayers were fulfilled. And it was here, in this great holy place of Sri Puri Dham, that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada was born. His birthplace is right on the Grand Road, the main street where the Rathayatra takes place. And it was during the Rathayatra ceremony that Bhakti Vinod Thakur's wife carried the little baby child, Bimala Prasad, who's named after a consort of Jagannath, brought him up to the chariot. And a garland fell from Jagannath just as the little baby was reaching out to touch his feet and encircled his body. Bhakti Vinod Thakur knew for sure that the divine associate of the Lord that he had been praying for had descended into the world. And he spent his early childhood here. And our own beloved founder, Acharya Srila Prabhupada, he tells us from his earliest childhood, he always dreamed of coming to Jagannath Puri. He would ask his parents to bring him to Puri. A little later, he would create Rathayatras as a small child in the little back lanes of Calcutta. He used to go to the railway station to see what times the trains would leave for Puri. He had the schedule. He had it memorized. What is the fare? When do the trains leave? That is how much he held this place sacred for his whole life. And beginning, I believe it was 1967, Srila Prabhupada, just a year and a half after he had come to America, he established the first Rathayatra in San Francisco. And he renamed San Francisco New Jagannath Puri. I think that's the first place he actually named like that, because 26 2nd Avenue was New York, so it was already kind of a new place. But the second center was Puri, and he named it New Jagannath Puri. So by his divine grace, and through Srila Prabhupada to us, the blessings and the grace of all of these previous acharyas, avatars, and Sri Jagannath himself has given us the opportunity to be here. We were describing how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu transformed the heart of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And it's so fascinating how he did it. Because Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was a world-class master at scholarship, scriptural study, teaching, and debate. And he had great sannyasis and great scholars coming to learn from him. He had the king endorsing him as the scholar of the world. How do you preach to someone like that? But as we explained this morning, Lord Chaitanya, Vedaishcha sarver aham eva vedo vedanta krit veda vedeva chaham. He himself declares in Bhagavad Gita that I am the knower of the Vedas, I am the compiler of the Vedas and Vedanta, and by all the Vedas I am to be known. But still, to Sarvabhauma, he humbled himself. You are my guru, Lord Chaitanya said. Please protect me from Maya. Instruct me. And then he sat and listened for 7 days. And Sarvabhauma was a gentleman because Lord Chaitanya listened to him for 7 days. He was obliged to listen to Lord Chaitanya. And when he did, he realized all that he had learned was misdirected. It was missing the essence. He had lost the understanding of what the goal is. Siddhanta means the conclusion, the goal of all knowledge, conclusive truths. This is the way Maya likes to delude people, by distracting us away from what is really important in life. To materialistic people, birth after birth after birth, she just keeps entangling us with so many challenges, attachments, fears, obstacles, concerns, attractions. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Human life actually begins when we inquire into the absolute truth. In Varanasi, Sanatana Goswami, he's our Sambandha Guru. But a guru shows by example how to be a disciple. He asked Lord Chaitanya the simple, basic, most essential questions of life. Who am I? Who is God? What is this world around me? What is my relationship with this world? Why am I suffering these threefold miseries of material existence? And what is the way out of this suffering? And Sanatana Goswami said, although people are calling me a big, great scholar, I don't even know the answers to these questions, yet I believe them. With all sincerity, he was appealing to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to enlighten him. And Lord Chaitanya said to Sanatana Goswami, you are fit to be my guru. You know everything. But for the sake of strictness and culture, you are asking these questions. But Sanatana Goswami didn't feel like that. So when we actually, sincerely feel, not just out of inquisitiveness, not just as a matter of study, not as an academic profession, with a deep yearning in the heart, with a desperate feel of need when we ask these questions. Like Parikshit Maharaj, when he was cursed to die and he was sitting under a banyan tree on the banks of the river Ganga. Like Arjuna, when he was bewildered and perplexed between two massive armies at the brink of a war. This is the spirit that we should feel a need to understand what is the goal of life. Why am I here? And when we deeply desire to know, that's when human life actually begins. Because that's the unique quality of a human being. We have the power not only to ask these questions, but to understand and realize that we're not this body. There's a higher purpose than all sorts of sophisticated ways of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. That we are eternal souls, we are part of God, we have a relationship with God, and we are beyond birth and death when we realize that to love Krishna is the only goal of life. It is the Sanatana Dharma. It is our constitutional position. But Maya is so powerful that even when we come to the path of devotional service, even after studying so many scriptures and learning them and even speaking from them, even sometimes after renouncing wealth, sensual enjoyment, still, Maya is right there to distract us from the goal. And we get caught up in such petty, superficial little things, and we become so agitated by them. Or we become so eager, hankering for them. Envy, greed, pratishta, desire for recognition, fame, desire again for sensual enjoyments. They're always going to be there. Maya will never give up at whatever stage of Krishna consciousness you're at. But when you surrender to Krishna, Krishna protects you. And ultimately, Maya bows her head as your maidservant. But don't think she's done that yet. She may pretend to do that. We may think, oh yes, now Maya is bowing her head with folded palms as my maidservants, as the scripture says. But it could be another one of her deceiving tricks. So that you have a little faith in her, yes. She's here as my maidservant. Like Mantra, Kaikeyi's maidservant. To fill us somehow or other with envy of God and God's devotees. So our sadhana and our satsang is a very, very important part of our life because it keeps us focused on what is our goal. Why are we chanting japa? Why are we reading Srimad Bhagavatam? Why are we coming to the Mangal Arati and doing our pujas? Why are we coming for yatras? We could be doing all these things for the wrong purpose. It's very important that we have to keep reminding each other, and we have to be very sincere. Because trying to become Krishna conscious in the material world in the age of Kali is like swimming upstream in a very forceful river. You can't just decide, well, I've been swimming upstream for a while. I'm just going to rest and stay where I am for a while. You can't do that. If you stop the progress going up, you're pushed down. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu are so kind. Parama karuna pahundui jana nitai gaura chandra Ava avatara sarasiromani kevala ananda kanda. They are supremely merciful. They are the essence of all incarnations, and they have made the path of perfection joyful. Chanting, dancing, feasting. But we need the association of advanced devotees, like-minded, serious devotees, to keep our focus intact. And that is one of the reasons we come on these yatras. To fill our consciousness with such an experience of what is my purpose in life. By hearing about the Lord's pastimes, by hearing about the great Acharya's pastimes, by hearing the philosophy of the Lord, by going to these holy places which are saturated and surcharged with grace. When you go to Siddha Bakula, that is the place that Haridas Thakur would sit to chant 300,000 names of Krishna every single day. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would come out of Jagannath's temple every day. He is Jagannath himself, to spend several hours with Haridas Thakur, chanting and discussing Krishna, sharing Prasad. When Rupa Goswami, when Sanatana Goswami came to Puri, of all the places in this holy dham, they specifically and exclusively would stay with Haridas Thakur. And it's not that he had the best, most luxurious facilities. He didn't have anything. He was too busy chanting Hare Krishna to do anything else. He just had a little thatched hut. He didn't have a beautiful guest house. But that's where they wanted to stay. They weren't concerned with luxuries, they were concerned with association. And because they were with Haridas Thakur, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would come and see them every day. If we're in the association of those who the Lord loves, that's the closest we can be to Krishna, because Krishna's with them. We should be so grateful when we come to these holy places on pilgrimage. We should be, our minds and our hearts should become like sponges, just absorbing, absorbing, and absorbing. Uddhava, enthusiasm, eagerness, is one of the great qualities that make Krishna's grace accessible. Rupa Goswami told that you cannot get love for Krishna by any amount of tapasya, by any amount of academic learning. It's only possible through intense eagerness to get it. Intense eagerness. That nothing else in life is really worth anything if I don't love Krishna. Srila Prabhupada explains all our accomplishments, even in the name of spiritual life, what to speak of material things, are like so many zeros without a one in front. All our zeros have no value at all. And what is that one? Our enthusiasm, our eagerness to serve Krishna, to love Krishna. That makes everything else transcendentally precious. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was living in Puri, he was seeing Krishna everywhere. That was his absorption. When he looked at the sea, he saw Yamuna River. When he looked at a sand dune, Chatak Paravat, he was seeing Govardhan Hill. On the sides of the road, of the Grand Road, when he was seeing the Jagannath Vallabha Gardens, he was seeing the beautiful forests of Bindavan. And when he would stand beside Garuda Stamba, he would see Krishna, Shyam Sundar, playing upon his flute. One time it describes he was standing beside the Garuda Stamba and there was a large crowd of people in the Jagamohan and the Kirtan and Darshan hall. I'm so theoretical, I'm speaking about it. All of you have seen it, you've been there. I only imagine it according to what I read in the books. I don't know how big it is. But according to what I read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it seems really big. There were so many people scrambling to see Lord Jagannath. And this old, uneducated Odian woman, she was so eager to see Jagannath. And she was just too old to start fighting through all the crowds. So she, with incredible, intense enthusiasm, she climbed up the Garuda Stamba. And in the process, she put her foot on Lord Chaitanya's shoulder. One foot was on Lord Chaitanya's shoulder, the other was on the Garuda Stamba as she was up there, seeing the beautiful lotus eyes of Jagannath. Lord Chaitanya's personal assistant, Govinda, who was a disciple of Ishwara Puri, couldn't tolerate seeing this. What kind of an aparad? She's putting her feet on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Chaitanya, and she's putting her feet on Garuda, the Lord's great servant. So he told her, get down. And as soon, she didn't even know she was doing that. As soon as she saw that her foot was on top of a sannyasi, she became extremely embarrassed, and she climbed down Lord Chaitanya's body, and she offered obeisances, begging forgiveness. Lord Chaitanya didn't chastise her. He chastised Govinda. Called him an adivas. He said, why have you disturbed this lady's meditation on Jagannath? She was so enthusiastic, so eager to see Jagannath, she didn't even know she was climbing on me. Why did you disturb her eagerness? And then as the lady was begging forgiveness with tears in her eyes, Lord Chaitanya was praying. He was praying to her and to Jagannath. Oh Jagannath, please give me even a drop of the eagerness that this old lady has to see you. He was praying to this Orient lady. Please bless me with some of that eagerness that you have to see Jagannath. And Srila Prabhupada tells us that when the Lord or these great souls are speaking like this, it's not just like a dramatic performance on stage. It's what they feel. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna with the Madhava of Sri Radha. And she, Srimati Radharani, the very source of all love, is begging Krishna to have the enthusiasm of this simple, uneducated lady. That is how much the Lord is impressed by eagerness, enthusiasm. And when we have that enthusiasm, in the spirit of humility we are learning in this verse, the combination is very powerful. When we chant our japa, when we perform kirtan, when we read, when we hear in the lectures, when we're doing our seva, even when we're taking prasad. Here in Puri, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very enthusiastic, not only about eating prasad, but serving prasad, every aspect of prasad. There's pages and pages and pages of Chaitanya Charitamrita where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is simply glorifying prasad. With the same enthusiasm he glorifies Krishna's pastimes. Because prasad is Krishna's mercy. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he would be very eager to serve prasad, and he was so eager to serve prasad here in Puri that his hand would hold no less than 5 people could eat. Now, this is a problem, because they're all taking public prasad together, and you don't want to leave massive amounts on your plate. And the Lord would take with his hand rice or sabji or whatever he was giving, Jagannath's special cakes with condensed milk. And every preparation he would put on would be more than what 5 people could eat. That's how enthusiastic it was. And Swarup Damodar Goswami would say, my Lord, please, we will serve prasad because nobody will eat prasad before you, so you should sit down as a service to everyone else. You sit and eat. because no one will take it before you. So Lord Chaitanya, he wouldn't just sit alone. He would bring Nityananda Prabhu, Paramananda Puri, Brahmananda Bharati, Brahmananda Puri, all these very, very great souls to sit with him. And even while he was eating prasad, he would be directing the servers. Because as the Paramatma in everyone's heart, if anybody had any inclination for any particular preparation, the Lord would know. He'd call out to Swarup Damodar Goswami, or Jagadananda Pandit was there, or Shankar Pandit was there. Kashishwar Pandit, a great servant of Ishwara Puri. The topmost devotees would be serving out the prasad. Give him sak. And then he would tell everybody, fill yourselves up to your neck. This is a profound concept, to eat food up to your neck. Because I'm not a doctor. We have Adhikesha Prabhu, and we have Dwarkadish Prabhu, and so many doctors here, Kishori Devi. So they know all this anatomy of the human body. But as far as I know, the stomach only kind of goes up half your torso. Is that correct? Adhikesha Prabhu? Correct? Stomach about up to here? But Lord Chaitanya is telling them to eat prasad up to their necks. How do you do that? Not down from your neck, up to your neck. That was his enthusiasm. You see, bhakti is a lot about bhav. It's not about literal physical manifestation. That's how much he wanted to serve the devotees, by filling them with Jagannath's mercy. And he was inspiring them to have that much enthusiasm to receive Jagannath's mercy. Because prasad means mercy, it doesn't mean food. He's not encouraging us to overeat. The spirit of what he's saying is that is how we should be enthusiastic to receive mercy. And yeyatamam prapadyante tamstataiva bhajamya. Krishna reciprocates according to our surrender, according to our spirit to serve, our spirit to please, our enthusiasm to hear and chant for the pleasure of Krishna. If we're not properly serving Vaishnavas, there is no possibility of really having a true taste for hearing and chanting. Radhanath Goswami, when he was living at Radhakund, his sadhana was like the lines in stone. Nothing could change them. Nothing could obstruct it. But part of his sadhana, but he would offer obeisances to 1,000 devotees every day, minimum. Now this is something quite supernatural to conceive of. Because 450 years ago, how many Vaishnavas lived at Radhakund? It wasn't even excavated. It was just a little pond in a paddy field. Nobody knew it existed. Lord Chaitanya discovered it. The Goswamis, they were living in Bindavan. Sometimes they would come and visit. But still, there was no obstacle. Even if there was no one around, Radhanath Goswami would still offer his obeisances to minimum 1,000, his prostrated obeisances, Vaishnavas every day. whether it was in his mind, whether he'd go from village to village, whether he'd see one Vaishnava and offer 1,000 times. This is not explained in detail. I don't want to use the word speculating, but I'm just imagining. But this was his bhava. This was his love. This was his feeling. Because he knew that this was so foundational in his service to the Lord. And when we read Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's beautiful pastimes with his devotees in Puri, that is what we find. This enthusiasm to serve one another, this enthusiasm to take shelter of the holy name, to take shelter of Harikatha, to take shelter of the darshan of Jaganath, to take shelter of Mahaprasad, and every aspect of devotional service. And Lord Chaitanya, he taught by his example how the Vaishnava community could be so united with love and affection when Krishna is in the center. Everything Lord Chaitanya did with his devotees in Puri, Jagannath was in the center. Every morning, very early, he would go to Jagannath's temple, and all his devotees would come with him. And he would stand behind or beside the Garuda Stamba for hours and hours. From the early morning arti to the Upalabhoga. And then he would come out after getting Prasad to be with Haridas Thakur. He'd take his bath in the sea, and later on he would go to Tota Gopinath temple, and for several hours would sit with Gadadhar Pandit to recite and discuss Srimad Bhagavatam. He would call his devotees from Bengal to come. They would celebrate Rathayatra. He would celebrate Snanyatra. Everything was around Krishna. Who is this Jaganath? How Jaganath came to this world, there are various versions to the story. I'd like to share some of what the scriptures and the Acharyas has taught us in this regard. Long ago, Satya Yuga, there was a king of Avantipur. His name was Indrajumna Maharaj. He was a great king. He had vast territories that he ruled over. But he felt an emptiness in his heart. All his wealth, his palaces, his family, his subjects, he felt it was all meaningless unless he could see God. So he called for his ministers, he called for scholars, he called for saints and sadhus to reveal to him where is the holiest of holy places where he could see the Supreme Personality of God. And different people were given their ideas. And one wandering mendicant. He came into the court. And with great enthusiasm and conviction, he spoke. He said, in my travels throughout this world, I came to a place where my life was transformed. It's Purushottam Kshetra. It's the northern shore of the sea, where there's a blue mountain called Niladri. In the depths of a jungle, there is a kund called Rohini. And on the banks of that kund, I had the darshan of the Supreme Lord of all the universe in the form of Nila Madhava. He began to explain the beauty and the grace of the Lord, and how the Lord endowed him with so much happiness and so much love. This mendicant said, actually, I have no qualifications. But by the power of Nila Madhava's mercy, I could see the absolute truth with my own eyes. And there is no greater happiness than that. And Jujumani Maharaj called for his head minister, who called for his brother, whose name was Vidyapati. And Jujumani Maharaj said, please go and find this Nila Madhava for me, how to get to this place he is describing. And then come back, and I will take my whole kingdom there to live with Nila Madhava. He was so eager to see the Lord and to serve the Lord. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explained to us, do not try to see Krishna, but try to serve Krishna in such a way that he is pleased to see you. That is selfless service. To stand before the deity to enjoy the beauty of the deity is wonderful. But the real question is, what is Krishna seeing when he looks at me? All he wants is my love. All he wants is the sincerity of my devotion. All he wants is my enthusiasm to serve and please him. Is he pleased to see me? The greatest saints, Prasad, Dhruva, Kolavecha Sridhar, Kunti, Bhishma, what is their prayer? Let me be the servant of your servant. In the Mahaprakash Lila of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what he revealed to the world? He was revealing to his devotees the innermost intimate darshans that they worshipped. To Haridas Thakur, he became Krishna. To Kolavecha Srila, Krishna Balaram. To Hanumanji Murari Gupta, he became Ram, Sita, and Lakshman. But more than just satisfying his devotees' hearts, he was revealing the devotees' hearts to the world. Because to each devotee he was asking them to ask for a benediction, because they would not ask. And almost every one of them said, no, I'm happy just being with you. I don't want anything. And he'd say, no, ask. For my pleasure, ask for something. And they all essentially asked for the same thing. I want to please you. I want to be with your devotees. I want to be with those who love you. Let me constantly chant your names and your glories for your pleasure and to be the servant of your servants. Srila Prabhupada says that is the ultimate benediction we can ask for. We can ask for love, but what does it mean to love? That's what the philosophy of bhakti teaches us. That's what we should be asking for. Selfless, unconditional service. That's love. That's what pleases Krishna. So Indradyumna Maharaj, he was so eager for that love. Like his descendant Prataparudra, he was willing to give up his throne, his family, his everything, and become a beggar to get that wealth, the wealth of that love. Some special effects are happening. It's going. Hare Krishna. Vidyapati traveled to Purushottam Kshetra, Sri Jagannath Puri, and he met a simple tribal chief. Can you all hear me? Haribol, from where I'm sitting, could also sound like no. So I know you're saying Haribol. If you could raise both of your arms and loudly say Haribol. It seems that they could hear. Vishwavasu. He was the leader of the Shabaras. And he told, because he saw Vidyapati was so eager himself. He was as eager as King Indradyumna. Although, if he didn't have that same eagerness, he would have never found Nila Madhava. And there are many versions to the story, but essentially, seeing the eagerness of Vidyapati, Vishwavasu brought him to the banks of Rohini Kund. And there was the altar of Nila Madhava. The treasure of everyone's heart. Vidyapati went into divine ecstasy. All he could do is praise the glories and the holy names of the Lord. And he and Vishwavasu, what was the unity of love between them? Because they were united in their appreciation and in their service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Eventually, Vidyapati returned to Avanti Desh and gave a beautiful description of what he saw to King Indradyumna. He explained how historically at this bank of Rohini Kund, because it's the place where Nila Madhava resided, it is such a holy place. That one time a crow, an ordinary crow, happened to be flying by and touched the water of Rohini Kund. And instantly that crow manifested a four-armed form of an eternal resident of Vaikuntha and went back home, back to Godhead. When King Indrajumna heard that, that gives a lot of hope. So he immediately he announced to the whole kingdom, because he felt responsible for everyone. He didn't want to just become liberated himself. He wanted to share that blessing with everyone. He told the whole kingdom, forget your homes, forget your property. That's what I'm doing. Just pack whatever you can and let us move to Jagannath Puri. Of course, it wasn't called Jagannath Puri then, it was called Sikshastakam. Let us move there and we will all live the rest of our lives in the service of Nila Madhava. They had so much faith in their king. Everybody! They were enthusiastic, excited. They just left their properties, left their home, and ready to go. If it was today, there would be demonstrations. There would be call for an early election. But they had such faith in the king because the king was the genuine well-wisher. He was like a father to all of them, along with his wife, the Queen Gundicha. At that moment, Narada Muni appeared. Because Narada Muni is specially empowered by Krishna to be right at the right place at the most crucial time. So he was explaining the glories of pure devotional service to Indrajumna Maharaj. Indrajumna Maharaj saw Narada Muni, washed his feet, put him on his throne, and begged, please enlighten me. The only way we could see Krishna is through pure devotion. Krishna tells in Gita, it is only by undivided devotion that I can be understood as I am. Parimanjana churi pata bhakti vilochanena. Unless our eyes are ornamented with the salve of love, we cannot see Shyam Sundar. Krishna reveals himself according to our love. Narada Muni was explaining the glories of bhakti. And he explained that there are different levels of bhakti. Narada Muni describes this in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that there is bhakti in the mode of ignorance, bhakti in the mode of passion, bhakti in the mode of goodness, and there is true bhakti. And he describes these different levels because it's very important for us. Because we can easily get distracted from the real purpose of our life. Bhakti in the mode of ignorance is someone who engages in the processes of devotional service, but who is overly proud. Who is, because of that pride, is envious of others. And due to that envy, becomes angry, and actually has wishes for other people to suffer, which is a type of violence. Narada says that that type of devotion in the mode of ignorance Srila Prabhupada in purport quotes from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also. He says, because the person's a devotee of Krishna, we can offer obeisances, but we should stay a distance away. Because where there's envy, where there's excessive pride of people thinking, I am better than others, where there's the ill motivation for others to have to suffer, or others to not make advancement, that will drag our own devotional service down associating with such people. And bhakti in the mode of passion is people who perform the practices of devotional service because they want material results. They want wealth. They want success. They want fame. They want prestige. Devotional services in the mode of goodness is when we're actually serving Krishna without any expectation of anything in return. We want to free ourselves from all of this bondage due to lust and envy and greed and anger and arrogance and illusion. And when we're actually situated in devotional service, in the mode of goodness, from that platform, when we genuinely want to please Krishna as our ultimate goal, and for the purpose of pleasing Krishna, we deeply want to become absorbed in hearing about Krishna, absorbed in chanting Krishna's holy name.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Sravana Kirtana Smarana Bandhana Pada Sevana Dasyare Pujana Sakijana Atma Nivedana. When we are absorbed in these 9 processes for Krishna's service, for Krishna's pleasure, that is pure bhakti. That is what we aspire for. Those are the people that we want to associate with and really get blessings from. Srila Prabhupada explains there's 2 types of pure devotees. One is a person who is on the transcendental platform beyond material desires, who has actually awakened their love for Krishna. That's a pure devotee. And another type of pure devotee is those persons who still may be in this material world struggling with the mind and the senses, but they're honestly and earnestly aspiring only for that pure devotional service, and they're following the proper path. Mahajano yena katasapanta. They're actually following in the footsteps of great souls because they have the right aspiration and because they have the right behavior in striving for that. Srila Prabhupada said they are also pure devotees. An association with such pure devotees is the greatest wealth in all of this creation. It's Krishna's blessing to the world. Narada Muni was explaining the glories of devotional service, and he said, I want to go with you to see Nila Madhava. And Indradyumna Maharaj was so enthusiastic because of his eagerness to go to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nila Madhava sent Narada Muni, the great Acharya of the Parampara, to help him to find his way. They began their journey. They had their chariots, they had their caravans, they had their wives, they had their children, moving forward. Many days passed. They came to the Mahanadi River. They took their baths. And when they came to the province of Uddhava, the king of Uddhava, or Orisha, he came to greet Maharaj Indradyumna. He said, we are so honored and we are so grateful and we are so happy and we feel so fortunate that you, the emperor, have come into our state, our kingdom. But at the same time, we are extremely devastated. And he explained what happened. The day Vidyapati had left to go back to Avantipur, there was a massive storm. Such a windstorm that you could not see anything. Dust, sand, completely covered everything. There was torrential rain, there was massive winds. Buildings were being destroyed. And Vishwavasu, he couldn't see anything around him. But after the storm, his heart, his soul was to find his beloved Nila Madhava. He went to the banks of Rohini Kund, but his beloved Lord was nowhere to be seen. He was wandering and searching in all directions, crying out the names of the Lord, weeping and crying, trying to find his beloved. He searched everywhere. Nila Madhava had disappeared. The king had to break this news to Indradyumna Maharaj, the king of Orissa. There was destruction of property, destruction of lives, and our beloved Nila Madhava is gone. King Indradyumna was devastated. The whole purpose of his life, everything he prayed for, he lived for, was now gone. It was so important that Narada Muni was there, because King Indradyumna would have given up his life. But Narada Muni told him, you are a sincere devotee. Krishna never ultimately lets down his devotee. He will put many obstacles on the path. But let us keep searching. I was sent here by Lord Brahma, especially because now that Nila Madhava is gone, he is going to appear in another form, and Brahma is going to come to install him. So let us continue our journey. You see, even very, very great personalities could be put in situations that are extremely difficult to conceive. Like Arjuna, like King Indradyumna. That is why we need great gurus, great souls to come and help us on the path. Because sometimes, and I think we all have this experience to some extent or another, things seem hopeless for us. If you've ever had this experience, please raise both of your arms and say Hari Bol. You see, those experiences where things just seem, even on our path of devotional service, it seems like everything's failed. It seems like there's no future. Srila Prabhupada had heart attacks on the Jaladuta, but he didn't give up. Even when these great obstacles come, sometimes it can be very, very confusing. That's why we need the association of devotees to give us hope and direction to overcome hopelessness. Because impediments, they can serve in various ways. They can make us really depressed. I'm a failure. Nobody likes me. Nobody appreciates. I can't do it. My senses are too powerful. My mind is too wild. And the whole world just seems to be against me making any progress in devotional service. Why is this happening to me? I'm trying so hard. King Indrajumna gave up his kingdom. He gave up everything to see Nila Madhava, and now Nila Madhava is gone forever. That seems pretty hopeless. Why? And he was depressed. But Narada Muni, he helped him to transform this obstacle into vipralambha, into a deeper sense of separation, into a deeper earnestness and eagerness to find the Lord. They carried on with their journey. They came to Bhuvaneshwar. Should I continue? And there in Jajumana Maharaj, on Narada Muni's instruction, began to worship Lord Shiva, Bhuvaneshwar. We told the story yesterday. Lord Shiva himself, he's one of the guna avatars. He's the destroyer of the universe. He's the Lord of the universe. He's Ishwara. He's Bhuvan Ishwara. He's Pashupati Nath. He's Kashi Vishwanath. He's Somanath. He's Bholanath. He's the Lord of all creation. And yet he's praying to Krishna, I just want to be close to you. Let me be close to you. And Krishna said, I am living eternally in Purushottam Kshetra, on the Niladri, as Jaganath. And you could live beside me as Bhuvaneshwar. So King Indrajumna was instructed by Narada Muni to worship Lord Shiva. And he did. And Lord Shiva actually appeared before King Indrajumna and encouraged him. And then he took Narada Muni aside, Bhuvaneshwar. And he said, Nila Madhava's gone. The king is really going to be shocked when he goes to that place and there's nothing there. But on the way, in a dense jungle, go there. He gave a direction. You will find a ferocious form of Narasimha Dev. Build a temple for Narasimha Dev. Worship Lord Narasimha Dev. And have King Indrajumna Maharaj perform 1,000 Aswamedha Yajnas in that place. And then Nila Madhava will reveal how he will come to the king. So Narada Muni, taking the blessings of Lord Shiva, came into the jungle And there they found this very ferocious form of Narasimha Bhagavan. And Vishwakarma's son, he appeared on the scene. When you want to please the Lord makes all sorts of incredible obstacles, but then he also creates incredible facilities if you pass through those obstacles. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha. We're not the doer. But if we are sincere and perseverant, it's Krishna that puts the obstacles and Krishna that gives the benedictions by which we can do wonderful things too. Here in Puri, I'm diverting, but I'm going to come back. Sanatana Goswami, he walked all the way from Bindavan to come to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with no other reason than to serve him with love and devotion. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed him, come to Puri, let us spend time together with Lord Jagannath. So all he was doing was following his instruction with such an eagerness to love and to serve the Lord. And on the way, he got this terrible disease. It was an incurable disease. His entire body was infected with painful, itching sores that oozed blood and pus. It was so painful and so itching and so disgusting. It smelled terrible. It's almost like you're ashamed to even be near anybody because you're just going to make them sick. That's serious. Sometimes you may not smell so nice and you think, oh, how can I be next to somebody? Imagine Sanatana Goswami, such a cultured person. He was a terrible, obnoxious smell and pus all over the place. He couldn't touch anybody. And it was so painful. And it was so bad that he decided, what is the use of this body? I can't even do anything. When I get to Puri, in front of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the devotees, as they are chanting the holy names of Krishna, I will place my body under the wheel of Jagannath's chariot. And then perhaps I will get a better birth in my next life. It had to be really terrible for Sanatana Goswami to be thinking like that. Because he was dhira. He was completely equiposed and tolerant. And he came to Haridas Thakur's Bhajan Kutir. And he asked, how is Lord Chaitanya? And at that moment, Lord Chaitanya appeared, coming out of Jagannath's temple with Prasad. And Haridas bowed down, and Lord Chaitanya said, who is that? And Haridas said, this is Sanatana Goswami. And he got up with all of his pusses and his blood and all of his sores from head to toe, and Lord Chaitanya embraced him and squeezed him. And as he squeezed him, all the stuff came out and smeared on Lord Chaitanya's beautiful golden form. Lord Chaitanya kept Sanatana Goswami in that state. Sanatana didn't say anything to anyone about his plan, but Lord Chaitanya knows. He said, Sanatana, why are you such a thief? Why do you want to destroy another man's property? This is sinful. You have already given your life to me. That means your body is my property. You have no right to destroy another man's property. So get this idea out of your mind. And Sanatana was thinking, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does not approve of my plan. So why didn't the Lord just cure him? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is one of his plenary portion expansions of expansions is Dhanvantari. The Lord Chaitanya just let him go on for almost a year in that state. And one day, Jagadananda Pandit was asked by Sanatana Goswami, I came here for my purification, but I'm just making aparads. Because Lord Chaitanya keeps embracing me by force, and Lord Chaitanya is the deity. Can you imagine going to the deity on the altar and wiping your pus and blood on the deity? Well, the devotees saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Jagannath himself. I'm making such aparads, what should I do? Jagadananda said, well, the Lord already told you he wanted you to go to Bindavan to fulfill his mission there, so just go to Bindavan. So the next time Lord Chaitanya came and embraced Sanatana by force, and Lord Chaitanya had long arms that extended below his knees. So when he wanted to reach for you, there's no escape. Sanatana, he said, Jagadananda has given me very good advice. I'm going to Bindavan. Mahaprabhu, Jaga, this impudent neophyte, what right does he have to give you instruction? You are fit to be my guru. Now, if someone said that to us, we would think, oh. But that's why the Lord won't say that to us. Somebody else may say that. The Lord will not say that to us. Sanatana Goswami, from his heart, he was thinking, Jagadananda is such an intimate, loving, confidential associate that he is tasting the sweet nectar of your chastisement. Because he's in the inner circle of your devotees. But because I'm so unfortunate, I'm just an outsider, I am suffering the bitter nimba leaves of your praise. Lord Chaitanya became very embarrassed. He said, no, Sanatan, you are the inner circle. You are most dear to me. It's not like that. It's just that I really feel like this about you. And I can't tolerate this Jagadananda giving you this instruction like this. And then he revealed to him, actually, I'm a sannyasi. Sannyasis are not supposed to discriminate between material good and bad and what smells good and what smells bad. For themselves. For Krishna, yes. But for ourselves, we're not supposed to think like that. So if I had the slightest bit of anxiety due to your condition for me, then I would be breaking the principles of a sannyas. And besides that, you are like my own child. A mother, even if the child makes some offense, the mother does not take it seriously because of her love. In fact, please be ready, mothers, for this analogy. If a child, baby child, passes stool on the mother's body, the mother smells that stool to be like fresh, fragrant sandalwood oil. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari. He said, Sanatan, because of my love for you, and because of your love for me, when these infectious blood and pus get on my body, do you know what I smell? Chatushmada. Srila Prabhupada explains what is that. It is a special, very, very opulent offering to the deities. It is a mixture of sandalwood pulp, camphor, musk, and saffron. He said, that's what it smells like to me because of my affection for you. And then Lord Chaitanya reached out again and Sanatan tried to run away, but Mahaprabhu embraced him. And this time he embraced him in such a way that all the disease totally disappeared. Sanatana Goswami's body was effulgent with a luster of a spiritual aura and perfect health. It was beautiful. And Haridas Thakur, Sanatana Goswami was living for almost a year at Haridas Thakur's hut. So all the exchanges, the whole year, he was watching. He was seeing how Sanatana Goswami was living with this disease for so many months. And he just cried out, "This is all your mercy, my Lord." He was so happy. He said, "You are the one who caused him to get the disease. You are the one who kept him with that disease for so long. And you are the one that cured his disease. And now you're the one who has given him such a blessing." When there's hopelessness in our efforts, when there's obstacles, when there's impediments, we should know that if we just persevere with integrity, spiritual integrity, by persevering with our sadhana, by persevering with our service attitude, by persevering in our mission, with detachment from the results, we are doing it for Krishna's pleasure. Then not only does Krishna remove the obstacle in due course of time, but Krishna gives incredible facilities. So Vishwakarma's son all just appears. I heard you want a temple to be built here. This is in the middle of a jungle. And Narada Muni said, yes, we want to build this temple. And within several days, a nice, beautiful temple is built for Narsingha Dev. And when the temple's built, Narada Muni, who actually left at a certain point, he came down from the spiritual world with an incredible deity of Narsingha Dev to install. And then Indradyumna Maharaj performed 1,000 Asvamedha sacrifices, which are extremely difficult to perform. And all of these very, very highly qualified Brahmins were engaged in the services. And then Maharaj Indradyumna Maharaj had a vision. But before the vision, they came to Rohini Kund. And when Maharaj Indradyumna Maharaj actually saw with his own eyes how Nila Madhava was gone, he actually decided to fast till death. But Narada Muni said, no, no, you have pleased the Lord. He will help you. And then he had this vision where he saw the Lord of Svetadvip, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan. And behind him was Ananta Shesha, Sri Baladev. And he had this vision where a hair of the Supreme Lord was coming in the form of a sacred log of wood into the ocean. And Narada Muni, when he heard this dream, he confirmed, yes, this is the Lord's will. At that moment, some village people came running up to Indradyumna Maharaj and Narada Muni and said, something incredible is happening, unbelievable. There is this log floating in the ocean. It's coming right up to the shore, and it's an effulgent, it's shining with spiritual vibrations. And very visible are the 4 signs of Vishnu, the conch shell, the lotus flower, the club, and the disc. Narada Muni and King Indradyumna Maharaj were very, very excited. They went and got the log and covered it with special cloth. And I believe at that point a voice came from the sky that they should be carved. And then, Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj, was it Vishwakarma who came? Vishwakarma himself. He disguised himself as a simple carpenter with some tools. And he said, he just came there and said, I have come to carve your deities. So it seemed like he was the right person. But the voice spoke from the sky. The deities of Krishna, Balaram, and Subhadra should be carved, and no one should see what the craftsman is doing until it is complete. So they built a shelter all around so nobody could go inside. And the carpenter was carving the deities out of this sacred neem wood. Now, according to Skanda Purana, he carved the deities and then Indradyumna Maharaj installed them. According to some of the great scriptures of the Oriya, there's a beautiful story that took place. King Indradyumna Maharaj, now his enthusiasm, his eagerness was at its peak. He gave up everything to see Nila Madhava. Nila Madhava disappeared. You see, in the path of bhakti, sometimes we get a little taste of an inclination of what we can get, but then we have to pay a price. Then he had to travel all that way, and he had to do 1,000 Asmayameda yajnas, and so many pujas, and build a temple for Narasimhadev, and worship Narasimhadev, and now he's about to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate goal of his life. But somehow or other, it was just taking too long. And it seemed that the carpenter was not doing anything. Was he even alive? Was he sick? What happened? Did he leave? King Indradyumna Maharaj became so impatient, he kind of lost control of his mind and senses, and he went and he opened the curtain. and the carpenter was gone. And there were deities. And those deities, they seemed that they were not complete. They didn't have legs or hands or feet or arms. King Radhanath Maharaj, look at what I have done. The Lord wanted to descend in the world, and because of my impatience, I have spoiled everything. Again, he decided I should fast till death. Narada Muni was there. He said, this is the form the Lord has designed. This is the form the Lord has willed to descend into this world. And then Narada Muni told Indradyumna Maharaj a very secret, confidential story that no one has ever heard. Would you like to hear? Narada Muni told in Dwarka, some of the queens, Rukmini, Satyabhama, Satya, Mitravinda, Jambavati, these different queens, they were talking among themselves of how Krishna, at night when he's sleeping, sometimes he's crying out, Radhe, 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 Gopi, Gopi, Gopi. Rukmini Devi was saying, almost all night he's crying out Radharani's name. He never cries my name. Or any of his, he has 16,108 queens. He doesn't cry, he's only crying Radha's name and the gopis' names. And Satyabhama said, why you say night? Even in the day. Sometimes he just goes into a daze and starts crying out Radharani's name. What is it about Sri Radharani? What is it about the Brijabasis that has so much conquered Krishna's heart? The only person besides Krishna and Balaram who can tell us about the Leelas of Bindavan is Rohini, Balaramji's mother, because she was there from Krishna and Balaram's birth to the time Akrura brought them to Mathura. So they called Rohini Devi and asked, please tell us, what is the nature and the character of the love of the residents of Vrindavan? Rohini Devi said, it is inconceivable. You see, you love him as your lover and as your husband, but also you understand that he's the Supreme Lord. The residents of Vrindavan, their love is so sweet. It is so intimate that Krishna forgets he's the Supreme Lord by the power of their love. And they don't even conceive of him in that way. Even when he kills the most monstrous demons, like Aghasura, Aristasura, they think it must be because of their pious activities that Narayan has saved their son. Yashoda Mai, when she sees the whole universe in Krishna's mouth, at the time when he ate dirt, now his mouth was only this big. This is Krishna. Vamanadev, when he wanted to cover the universe, he grew to a size where with 3 steps he could cover the universe. That's Aishwarya. That's opulence. But Krishna's Madhurya. He had the whole universe in his mouth. And he didn't even extend the size of his mouth. And it's not that he shrunk all the planets to fit inside. This is actually inconceivable. But that's why Krishna's Krishna, because he has a Chintya Shakti. Now, for you people who know science and astronomy and all of these things, how many times bigger than the Earth is the Sun? Anybody know? Huh? You're saying 300.
40 lakhs.
Huh?
40 lakhs.
40 lakhs. 40 lakhs means 4 million?
400,000.
400,000. So we're getting here 4,400,000 and 300. Chandramauli Swami. Huh? 1,000. I don't know who to believe that. Anyways, the sun is many, many times bigger than the Earth. And there's Mount Everest. And Mount Everest is like a grain of sand compared to Mount Sumeru. Yes? And all these mountains, and all the oceans on this planet, and all the planets, and all the sun, and all the stars, everything is in Krishna's mouth. It's actually like in his stomach, but she's seeing through the window of his mouth. But his stomach's only this big. And his mouth's only this big. This is wonderful. It's not like with a computer you make a scale model. That everything is a replica of 1/10,000th the actual size. The actual universe was within him. All the oceans, they weren't shrunk, they weren't reduced, they weren't concentrated, they were full-fledged. But they were all within him. This was looking. Yashoda Mai, she's completely perplexed. She's totally speechless. It's awesome. She's folding her hands like, Krishna, Narayan, what are you doing to me by showing me all these universes in my little boy's mouth? And she's, I'm thinking that Krishna's my son. This is my illusion, and I'm thinking that Nanda Maharaj is my husband, and I'm thinking all these cows are my cows, and all the Brijabasis that I'm their queen. Krishna, you are Narayan, you are the supreme controller of all controllers, you are the source of everything. What am I seeing? What's happening to me? And then she's thinking, my son, sometimes when he does incredible things, like killing Putana or Trinavarta, the Brijabasis, they say, oh, according to Garga Muni, your son has taken birth in so many ways and he's such in different yugas. Your son is as good as Narayan. And Yashoda Maya is thinking, what does Garga Muni know? He doesn't understand. I know that when Krishna cries, if I don't give him my milk, he will not be pacified. I know when there's thunder in the sky and Krishna's scared, unless I embrace him and kiss him hundreds of times, he will not stop trembling. Krishna knows who he is, and I know who he is. Who is this Gargamuni? Krishna is just my son. That is Yashodamaya. The interesting thing is she looked in his mouth to find if he ate dirt. She saw all the dirt in the universe and everything else. But she didn't recognize that Krishna ate dirt. In fact, she forgot all about the thing. And Krishna closed his mouth and she embraced him and fed little Gopal her milk. In this way, I'm trying to remember why I told this story. Rohini. Sarvasya chaham hridishani Vishnu. Krishna is the source of forgetfulness, but through the devotees, he can be the source of remembrance also. That's why we need each other. So Rohini's telling, this is Krishna in Bindavan, where the gopis and the gopas, they love Krishna with such pure, innocent intimacy. Krishna is conquered by the love of the Brijabasis. And they wanted Rohini, can you tell us stories? She said, I can, but there's a problem. If I start telling stories about the love of the Brijabasis for Krishna and the love of Krishna for the Brijabasis, wherever they are, Krishna and Balaram are going to come here, and if they hear me talking about it, they're going to want to go back to Vrindavan. They're going to be stunned. And when I see them in that state, I'm not going to be able to continue speaking. So Subhadra, Mai, she said, I am their sister. I will stand at the door as a guard. And if I hear Krishna and Balaram coming, I will inform you, and you can stop speaking Harikatha. Rohini began to speak about the love between Krishna and the Brijabasis. As Subhadra was listening, she became totally stunned. Her eyes expanded. Her arms, which were guarding the door on both sides, entered into her body. Her legs and feet disappeared. She was standing as motionless as wood. And as Rohini Devi was speaking, Krishna and Balaram, who were in the court of the Sudharma assembly house, along with King Ugrasena, they could immediately understand Rohini's talking Vrindavan Katha. They came running to the scene, and when they came to the door, Balaram stood on one side of Subhadra, Krishna stood on the other side of Subhadra, and they saw Subhadra in that state. And they heard Rohini Devi speak. They were listening. When Rohini Devi began to explain the nature of Radharani's love for Krishna, they both went into ecstasy. Their eyes expanded like fully bloomed lotus flowers. And like a tortoise, their hands and their arms, their legs and their feet, their necks all contracted. And they stood like motionless wood. His Holiness Gaur Govinda Swami Maharaj cites the Acharyas of Orissa calling this the Mahaprakash Bhav, or the Mahabhav Prakash. Mahabhav Prakash. The darshan of Krishna, Balaram and Subhadra in the deepest ecstasies of tasting the love of their devotees. And just when they were in these forms, Narada Muni appeared. And when they saw Narada Muni coming, they came out of those forms. But Narada Muni cried out in great ecstatic love, I have seen these forms. These indescribable, incredible forms of you tasting the sweetness of the love of the devotees of Bindavan and the expression of your love, the total transformation, because you see, for the Supreme Personality of Godhead on this spiritual platform, the body and the soul are non-different. In this material world, we are not our bodies, but in the spiritual world, we are our bodies. Because the body is Chit Shakti. It's the soul and the body are one. That is the soul. In this material world, the Atma manifests as 1/10,000th the size of a tip of a hair. But in the liberated position in the spiritual world, that Atma manifests a beautiful, eternal, transcendental form. That's Satchidananda. Narada Muni begged for one benediction. He said, my Lord, please grant me this one benediction. This magnificent, all-merciful form of you in your Mahabhav Prakash. Let there be somewhere on the earth where you give the world your darshan. Tatashtu. The Lord said, so be it. Your wish is fulfilled. In the land of Purushottam Kshetra, on a blue mountain, I will appear in this darshan as Jaganath, Subhadra, and Baladev to reveal to the world the ecstasies of my love for my devotees. And Narada Muni asked for a benediction that anyone who sees these forms, give them liberation from all suffering. The Lord blessed. When Narada Muni explained this story to King Indrajumna, he understood that by the Lord's own sweet will, he has taken these beautiful, beautiful forms as Jagannath, Balaram, and Subhadra. And then on Narada Muni's instructions, he performed Abhishek. 100 pots of scented waters. Actually, King Indrajumna Maharaj, when he was doing all these yagyas, the Ashwamedha yagyas, I'm going back a little, he was giving cows to all the Brahmins. He had hundreds and thousands of cows, and they were all standing. And they caused such a big depression in the ground. And then he was offering aragya and achman and all of these things to the Brahmins. And gradually, that depressed ground filled up with a kund. And that is what today is Indrajumna Sarovar. It was near Indrajumna Sarovar, where the Gundicha temple is today and where Narasimha-Dev's temple is where Jagannath first appeared. Then they performed the installation. In a certain way, not the complete installation. Then Narada Muni said that for the actual installation, first you have to build a temple and then Lord Brahma will come to actually install them in the temple, the Prana Pratishta. So King Indrajumna Maharaj built a temple right here where Jagannath's temple is today. And then Narada said, I will go get Brahma. And Indrajumna asked, can I go with you? Brahma said, yes. Narada said, yes, you come. So they went on a transcendental airship of some sort, and by Narada Muni's powers, they went to Brahma Loka. When they came to Brahma's doorstep, one of his assistants said, in his worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, Narada Muni is now composing a beautiful raga and singing to the Lord. So you'll have to wait till he finishes his song. A couple minutes later, they were escorted in to see Brahma. Brahma said, I will come. But Indrajumna Maharaj, please know that a moment here is a long time there. There has already been hundreds of generations that have been born and died in your dynasty. But the temple is still just like new. So King Indrajumna came down with Narada Muni, and they made all the arrangements, and when everything was exactly in order, Brahma descended on his swan carrier. They had a Rathayatra. It was the first Rathayatra. On Jagannath's will, they made beautiful, beautiful chariot for Jagannath, Balaram, and Subhadra. Balaram was first, then Subhadra, then Jagannath. And they carried from the bathing platform where they bathed the deities, they pulled from Gundicha Mandir to Jagannath's temple. And Brahma performed the installation. And according to Skanda Purana, with some details from other scriptures and acharyas, this is how Jagannath appeared, and how the original temple was built. Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj gave a lecture, which is recorded in one of his books, which explains in a very sweet way, in the spirit of Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Lalita Madhava by Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, another explanation of how the Lord appeared in this way. In Dwarka, in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, we read how Krishna was feeling separation from the residents of Bindavan while he was living in Dwarka. Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj tells this story that one day Krishna was in such intense separation, he was calling out Sri Radharani's names again and again and again, and he was feeling the pains of her separation. You see, in his bhava expansion, he is in the hearts of all the Brijabasis. Union in separation. In Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Krishna tells Uddhava and some of the other devotees that one of the reasons he had not returned to Bindavan is because the intimacy and the level of the ecstasy of their union within their heart, in the ecstasy of their love, it just couldn't get any higher. And his coming to Vrindavan he would never be able to leave again. So Krishna, feeling Sri Radha's love and separation, is crying her name, and he falls unconscious. Narada Muni is there, Uddhava is there, Balaram is there, Subhadra Devi is there. They can't bring Krishna back to consciousness. Uddhava says, the only possible way is if Narada Muni, if you play your veena and sing sweet songs about Vrindavan, then Krishna will come back to consciousness again. Narada Muni bajai veena, Radhika Ramana name. Narada Muni said, I will sing. And surely if I sing the sweet songs about Vrindavan Lila, Krishna will come back to consciousness. But there's a problem. As soon as he comes back to consciousness, he's going to immediately want to go to Vrindavan. So we're going to have to get our chariots, his chariot, ready for him to go. And then Uddhava said, but if he goes to Vrindavan and he sees the condition of all the Brijabasis in their separation, he's never going to be able to leave again. That means he'll never come back to Dwarka. So Narada Muni said, that means, Uddhava, you should go to Vrindavan. Tell everyone Krishna's coming. Make them really happy. There'll be a big festival, so when he arrives, everyone's happy. He doesn't see them in separation. He sees them in expectation of union. Uddhava said, long ago Krishna sent me to Vrindavan with his message. He sent me there to console them. I was there for 3 months, but I could not console them. They were crying and crying and crying day and night. And how could I ask them to stop crying for Krishna? In separation from Krishna, all I could tell them to do is go on crying. But before I left, I promised them that I would convince Krishna to come back to Vrindavan to visit. But he never came back. So if I go again and say Krishna's coming, they will not believe me. Narada Muni said, all right, Balaram, you should go. Balaram said, long ago I also went to Vrindavan. And I spent 2 months there. And I was trying to console Mother Yashoda. All the devotees, the Brijabasis, they were weeping and crying in separation from Krishna. The only solace is somehow I kind of reminded them of Krishna. And as I was leaving, Yashoda Mai was asking, does Krishna want to kill us? Does he want to take our very lives? Why does he not let us see him? Why does he not return? And I promised Yashoda Mai, I am his older brother. He listens to me. I will bring Krishna back to Vrindavan. I promised that I would try. And when I came back to Dwarka, I told Krishna their condition, and he cried. Hearing about their crying, he was crying. Hearing about their separation, he was feeling separation. And I said, Krishna, please sustain their lives and go and visit them. And Krishna would look at me in a daze and say, I will. I will. After some time, I would remind Krishna, you must go back to Bindavan. He would say, I will. But he never does it. And now so many long years go by. If I tell the residents of Bindavan, if I come before Yashoda and I tell her that Krishna's coming, she will not believe me. And then Balaram started to cry, remembering the feelings of love and separation of all those devotees. Subhadra Mai, she spoke up. She said, I will go. She said, I will go and I will sit on the lap of Yashoda Mai and I will wipe her tears and I will tell her Krishna's coming. And I'll gather all the gopis together and I will say, let us organize a wonderful, joyous celebration because Krishna is coming. And they will believe me because men are a little crooked. But I will tell them that us women, we are very simple-hearted. So you can believe me, Krishna is coming. In fact, Balaram and Krishna and myself, we were all on chariots coming together. But great kings and rishis and sages started making offerings to Krishna, so he got held up. But I came immediately to give you the good news. Uddhava said, perfect. Balaram said, wonderful, I'm going with you, Subhadra. And Narada Muni said, now is the time. Subhadra Mai got on a chariot. Balaramji, he went on his chariot. He went first. Subhadra was behind. And Narada Muni began to sing the sweet kirtan of Vrindavan Ras. And Krishna opened his eyes. In a trance of his love for the devotees of Vrindavan, he immediately jumped up into a threefold bending form to play his flute, but he didn't have a flute. They said, where is my flute? Where is my flute? And he started looking for his flute. Did the gopis steal my flute? And then as he was looking for his flute, he was thinking he's in Vrindavan. Because Krishna doesn't stand in a threefold bending form anywhere but Vrindavan. Then he saw Uddhava. And he said, Uddhava, what are you doing in Vrindavan? Then he was running looking for his flute and he saw Narada Muni. He said, Narada, what are you doing in Vrindavan? And then he thought, am I in Vrindavan? I'm not in Vrindavan. And right at that point, Narada and Uddhava said, we have your chariot all ready to bring you to Vrindavan. And all the residents of Vrindavan are waiting to greet you. Krishna boarded his chariot and began the journey. Meanwhile, when Subhadra Mai and Baladev reached Vrindavan and they saw the pathetic situation of the ecstasy of the love of the residents of Braj, Viraha Bhav, love and separation. It was such a deep, total absorption in remembering Krishna. All the knowledge the injunctions, the philosophies, and the stories of all the scriptures and all the world are meant ultimately to serve two principles: to always remember Krishna and to never forget Krishna. Manmana bhavamad bhakto mad jaji namaskuru. This is the conclusion, the essence of all of the Gita, which is the summary study of all Vedas. Krishna says, always think of me. Become my devotee. Worship me and offer your homage to me. In this viraha bhav, in separation from Krishna, the residents of Bindavan were 24 hours a day totally consumed in the ecstasy of remembering Krishna with love. Incomparable to anywhere else. Even the most intimate, loving relationships in this world is just a reflection of a portion of a drop compared to the ocean of the love of the residents of Vaikuntha. But even the most intimate love of the residents of Vaikuntha is like a fraction of a drop compared to the ocean, the fathomless, shoreless, bottomless ocean of the absorption of loving feelings of the residents of Bindavan. They cried for the whole rest of their lives from the day Krishna left with Acharya. When Balaram's chariot arrived, and Subhadra behind him, and they saw the condition of the devotees of Vrindavan, they were so deeply moved by the quality and the quantity of their praying that they became motionless like wood. That same Mahaprakash that they manifested in Dwarka, their eyes expanded to see the love of the Vrindavan devotees. Their hearts became so completely conquered. The body was the manifestation of the feelings of their heart, and all their limbs entered into their bodies. They couldn't speak, they couldn't move. So they couldn't say anything to anyone. And then Krishna, with great enthusiasm, he arrives in Nidhuban, that intimate grove where Radha and Krishna would have their loving pastimes at night. Nidhuban is a place, one of the areas of the Rasa Lila. There's Seva Kunj, Nidhuban Kunj. These are different aspects of Krishna where, with the gopis, and in the deeper recesses with the sakis and the manjaris, Radharani and Krishna would have their most loving pastimes together. And there in Nidhuban, Srimati Radharani and Govinda Dev, under a kalpabriksha tree, would spend time alone in the night when all of their associates kept a distance. And according to some acharyas, that kalpabriksha tree in Nidhuban, that was the only witness to some of the most intimate, loving, confidential pastimes between Radha and Krishna, descended into this world as Srila Madhavendra Puri. Lord Chaitanya is Krishna with the bhav of Sri Radha. That is why the last stage of Madhavendra Puri's, the prayers that he was reciting, the words of Srimati Radharani in separation from Krishna when she was at Nidhuban, only Radharani, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Madhavendra Puri could fully comprehend. There at Nidhuban, where Krishna and Sri Radha would meet with such sweet pastimes, Srimati Radharani was literally dying in separation. Tears would pour from her eyes and make a puddle on the ground, and she would fall, and the heat of her body would immediately evaporate the water. She laid her head on Lalita Saki's leg and was just crying out Krishna's names. And no one could pacify her. Krishna appeared right at that moment. And when he saw the nature of Sri Radha's love in viraha, in separation, his heart was so deeply affected by her love that his eyes blossomed like lotus flowers. His limbs merged into his body, and he stood as still as wood. And an incredible smile manifested on his face in ecstasy. A breeze touched his body, then came to Sri Radharani, and it brought her back into external consciousness. And she saw Krishna. Not only did he manifest this form, but he fell unconscious. That form of Jagannath just fell down on the ground. Sri Radharani saw him in that state. And she had Vishaka Gopi chanting her names in Krishna's ears. And Krishna came back to his manifested normal form of Shamsundar in Bindavan. And he told Srimati Radharani that in order to reveal to the world your love for me and my love for you, I will manifest this form in Sri Kshetra, Jagannath Puri. And just as my brother and sister Balaram and Subhadra, they also manifested this form, seeing the love of the residents of Vrindavan, we will be together in Jagannath Puri. Jagannath, Balaram and Subhadra. And whoever comes for our darshan, whoever worships us, whoever honors us, we will bless them. And at the same time, I will appear as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As Jagannath, I will be experiencing my love for you. And as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I will be experiencing your love for me. That is Jagannath Puri. Every day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu he would come before Jagannath. There's a beautiful story. After the Snan Yatra, Lord Jagannath gets sick. How does he get sick? The absolute truth, getting sick. He is Swarat. He is fully independent. If he wants to get sick, he gets sick. But the Lord gets sick to facilitate a very special loving exchange with the deities who take care of him. With different infusions of transcendental herbs and everything like that. And also, it's a time where they revive his body. Lord Chaitanya, he could not possibly tolerate being in Puri and not seeing Jagannath for most of the day. He went to Alalanath. And there in separation from Jagannath, even today you'll see there's a big stone. He used to lay on that stone. The stone melted and the depression of his entire body limbs are there for us to see. We will discuss that story just before Rathayatra. But when he returned to Puri to be with his devotees who were just coming from Bengal on the Navayovanam, the day where Jagannath gives his first darshan after about 15 days of being in seclusion, Lord Chaitanya went right up to the altar. Usually he stood behind Garuda Stamba. But now, after 15 days of not seeing the Lord, he was right within inches of Jagannath. And it describes Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu unblinkingly gazing in the beauty of Lord Jagannath's face. Lord Chaitanya's eyes were like very thirsty honeybees. And Lord Jagannath's eyes were like big, beautiful lotus flowers. Lord Chaitanya would stand there, unblinking, hour after hour after hour, in the total trance of reunion with Lord Jagannath. We come to Puri to honor the love of Sri Radha and Krishna, and praying to be a servant of a servant of a servant in those beautiful pastimes. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, they have come in this age of Kali to invite everyone, whatever our caste, whatever our sex, whatever our economic condition, whatever our academic condition, whatever our race, whatever our nationality, whatever our anarthas. If we sincerely imbibe the spirit of their teachings, and we earnestly, honestly take shelter of the holy names, by the power of Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya, they will bring us into the beautiful pastimes of Bindavan. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtana. It is the ultimate benediction. Something so great, so eternally esteemed. Lakshmi Devi for thousands of years is doing tapasya to try to go into Vrindavan's Lila. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is coming to this earth in Kali Yuga to give us entrance into this Lila. It's inconceivable. What did Srila Prabhupada, the depth of his words when he invited us to chant Hare Krishna and be happy. But here in the Gambhira, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu composed his Sikshastakam. Some of the verses he quoted even while living in Navadvip. One in particular, Kaviraj Goswami says we should put it on the string of the holy name and keep it on our hearts at all times. Trinadapi Sunichena Tador Ibasayashnana Amani Namana Dena Kirtanya Sadahari. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada explained this is a Siddha Pranali mantra. If we chant Harinam in this spirit, then by the grace of Srila Prabhupada, all of our previous Acharyas, by the grace of Harinam, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur told us, Krishna's form will be revealed. Krishna's quality, his associates, his devotees, his abode, our eternal relationship with Krishna in his abode, in his pastimes, will all be revealed through the holy name. If we live with this spirit of honestly, earnestly, and sincerely striving to be more humble than a blade of grass, tolerant, forgiving, like a tree, finding great happiness in offering respect to others and never demanding or expecting it for ourselves. These qualities are impossible for us. But if we make it our goal and we earnestly Ananyas chintayam pomam yejana paripashate. If we sincerely surrender to do the best we can to live in this spirit, by the grace of Sri Radha, she will empower us to be humble like a blade of grass, tolerant like a tree, devoid of sense of self-prestige. Srila Prabhupada writes in Chaitanya Charitamrita that this type of pure devotional service is very rare. But by the mercy of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, He will give it easily if we are sincere, if we are serious, and if we have no ulterior motives. And in this spirit, together, individually and collectively, with all our hearts, like a helpless helpless baby crying for mother in an emergency, desperate situation, we raise our arms and cry out the holy names. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mai ki jai. Ananti Koti Vaishnava Brinda ki jai. Go Premanandi. Everyone, please dance. And we'll just have a short kirtan. What that means, I'm not sure. But please, tomorrow morning, His Holiness Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj will be giving us a wonderful self-realized class in the glories of Jagannath Puri. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna